This latest case. Kid's named Sean Parsons. He's home from school now because a schoolmate allegedly wrote to one of his friends online, "I will kill Sean because I can." We talked to school officials after he was told about this threat and talks about what happened after he found that out. So the kid who made this alleged threat was suspended for 5 days, but then he shows up at a football game and sits about 10 feet behind Sean. Allegedly, the principal didn't even do anything about that, and the kid ends up coming back to school in 3 days and didn't even serve the full 5-day suspension. That's what we're talking about here. Now, the El Cajon Unified School District confirmed that the incident took place. The Sheriff's Department investigated as well, but says that the threat was not credible since it happened online and it was not verbal. It was online. Sean's father says he will keep his son out of school until he knows he will be safe. Again, as we continue to tell you about reports of bullying and threats happening more and more these days, a lot of parents are asking, what can we do to make sure our schools are a safe environment? We're welcoming back Jodee Blanco. She's a bullying expert. She's author of a book on bullying and was bullied herself. Jodee, we had to have you back after yesterday's conversation.
Thank you.
Well, let's hit on this case. And there's your book, by the way. Book titles, Please Stop Laughing at Me. But we have a caller standing by, and by the way, our number 1-877-TEL-HLN. Let's hit on this case real quick, where you've got this indirect threat made online. Kid's supposed to be suspended for 5 days. He ends up showing up at a football game and sits 10 feet behind this kid, and you know, the kid was scared for the entire game. What should happen here? And is this a story that's not uncommon?
Yes, exactly, Mike. I mean, I travel the nation's schools. As a former victim turned activist, I travel the nation's schools and I work deep inside the bowels of the school. I work with students, teachers, and parents, and so I really have a fix on what's going on. And like I said yesterday, in a situation like this, you have a negligent school. And what's sad about this is that for all the schools that are getting it right, for all the schools that are bringing people like me into the school to speak with students and teachers and parents and really making an effort to protect the youth, it's like a slap in the face to those schools, these handful of schools who are being recklessly negligent.
So why don't schools want to handle it, Jodee? Real quick on that. I hate to interrupt, but it's people think, well, why don't you want to take care of this? Why don't you want to go out of your way and immediately stop bullying? What is slowing things down?
Well, there's two reasons here. Number one, a lot of schools have the old adage that they feel like bullying is a rite of passage. And I always tell these schools who are so ignorant that there's a difference between kids being kids and kids being cruel. Secondly, you have a phenomenon called the elite tormentor. There are two kinds of popular kids in a school, Mike. Elite leaders are loving, caring kids who are also popular. Elite tormentors are the mean ones. And sometimes those mean, popular kids have as big a hold over the adults in the school as they do over the other students. They have everybody fooled that they're wonderful kids, but underneath, they're not.
Wow. Let's get a call in. Sherilyn's with us in Texas. Sherilyn, I understand your son was bullied?
Yeah, he's going through, I'm going through that process too of having that issue with fighting against the school, and you know, it's just like a hush-hush underneath the table, and they say, you know, since he was taking medication since this is 6th grade, and right now he's in 8th grade, and you know, I just say, you know what, medication, you know, I just don't agree anymore in having a medication. It's just like hushing him, you know.
Are they trying to blame the medication?
Yeah, because I told him, you know, I got him off the medication, and I told him, you know what, I'm just, you know, tired of doing that. That it's not helping anything for him. And they're like, well, he needs to be, you know, back on medication. And I'm like, well, that, you know, that's not helping the situation.
Sherilyn, how bad has it gotten? Has your son got to the point of wanting to commit suicide?
Yes, he tried to commit suicide twice.
Oh, my.
And, you know, and I explained to him, I've gone to the meetings, talked to the assistant principal, and, you know, they just turn around and say, well, it's just kids being kids. And, you know, they just try to pinpoint him, well, it's him disrupting the class, you know. And I told him, well, you know, it'd be something if it was his grades or him, you know, going after some other kids. So when I said, well, then, you know, there's another problem. But the problem is of him being bullied and him being called names and teachers just ignoring it.
All right, let me get Jodee in on this.
Let me jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Jodee.
Yeah, Mike, let me jump in. First of all, Sherilyn, what you need to do, congratulations on being so vigilant on behalf of your son. For all the parents who are watching this, we have someone very heroic here. Sherilyn, you need to take it up the chain of command. Obviously, the school's not responding, and who in the heck are they to tell you what medications your child should be on? They're not doctors. First of all, take it up the chain of command. Go to the superintendent. If that doesn't work, ask your child if other kids at school are also being bullied. Meet those parents, reach out to those parents, and address the school board together in public at the next school board meeting. And if that still doesn't yield a response, go to the local education writer at your local daily newspaper and share with this reporter what's been going on. If you take those steps, you are much more likely to get a positive and compassionate response from the school. But you keep on fighting and you take it up the chain of command. You have a right to protect your son, and that school has an obligation to work with you to do so.
Well put, Jodee. Sherilyn, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So give us the real-life example. What's going on with your child? I mean, is it physical? Is it verbal bullying? Is it both?
Yeah, it's both. It's kind of a little bit push and shove and being called names and stuff. And, I mean, it's
and why?
Just like to a point that I'm already so fed up with it that I just, I told principal, what does it take for you guys to call every single parent to get them here, to let them know what's going on with their children, one-on-one with the rest of the kids, and say why they call kids names.
And what does the school tell you? So what's the school tell you?
They said no, that they can't do that because they're not permitted to do that.
Jodee, what do you mean they're not permitted to do that? What should Sherilyn do?
That's what the assistant principal told me.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. What's going on, Cheryl, is you're getting what I call stonewalled. And what I really think is important, two bits of advice. First of all, as I said before, guaranteed that if your child is getting bullied like this, there are other kids in the school who are getting bullied too. You need to ask your child the names of other kids who also get harassed, and you need to call those parents and you need to meet with them, and all of you parents together need to form a unified front. Together you can deal with this, and together you can support each other. And secondly, this is specific advice for your child. If your child is struggling with this, he's lonely, I'm assuming, on some level. Find an interim social outlet. Contact the Park District and the local public library far enough away that it's unlikely to feed into your child's school, and get your child involved in a brand new activity where he can meet new faces and make new friends with people he doesn't go to school with. This will give your child a lifeline while you can deal with the larger issues at the school.
Great advice, Jodee. Sherilyn, thank you, and we wish you the best, and your child the best as well. Thanks for sharing your story and helping us learn from it. And Jodee,
yes, thank you.
Jodee, thank you. Jodee's going to be back, by the way. Jodee's going to be back at 1:30. So if you have comments, you have a story to tell, you have questions, you're just being, as Jodee puts it, stonewalled, give us a call, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Go to my Facebook page, Mike Galanos HLN, with your questions there as well. We'll try and get as many issues, questions, examples out there, and lean on Jodee's expertise. Jodee, thanks again. So, Susan, that's what we have to do here. We just have to shine a light on this, and as Jodee's saying, be persevering for our children. And really, it branches out to all kids out there.
Yeah, and I love how Jodee gives specific examples, because if you just give a blanket statement, it's hard to know how to solve it. We have some breaking news.